And now we're talking about solo queue Mythic Plus.
Yep, please, thank you. Conversation over, goodbye.
Done.
Yeah, no, like realistically, solo queue M Plus is definitely way healthier in the long term. Fundamentally, it should very much be that way. Even as a trial, even if they want to trial it like Solo Shuffle does, because I think there's so much... I was wondering why I looked a little bit dim in the face. Nikki stole our pancake and we didn't turn it back on. Anyway, yes. You're right, Dark Soul. They would need to rework the system to be based on climbing levels instead of actual keys. Because ratings there, it just makes sense. The only problem is, how do you do key selection? Like, how do you literally do that? Because you can't just random for a key, because that would suck. But you can't select the key, because then people would randomly select. So unless you literally just do random key, that said, you might be able to do it on actual keys, because I guess you could have a button which is queue up for your key, and a button queue up for someone else's key. Maybe within a range of 2 to 3 or something like that. So fundamentally, it is about how impossible it is as a casual player to get in. And I haven't actually been able to experience this fully, because I haven't really had the time to do much M+ on my Paladin yet. Because I wanted to do this thing where I would play it completely red. No like friends, no pug, or just pugs. Without bothering to go like cheat, basically. What can I do that would be, okay, I'm going to go through. And every time I've started, it's been like, I guess when I'm playing on my Feral Druid, M+ is very simple. I sign up, I get accepted, we go. Because I have a high enough rating. Feral Druids are relatively like wanted for our damage, and also I have a high level. On my Paladin though, I have no gear and no rating, which means I don't get selected for anything, which means I do not get to play the game. Basically, I don't get to play what I want to do. That's like Kaji says, with 2k you get rejected for 14. Why is that? Well, that's because someone there was probably better, or perceived better based on stats. And all that really means then is that that's a frustrating experience for you, especially that happens to you all day long. And a solo thing would solve that, where it is just you press the button, you queue, off you go, you play the game, that's it. There are obviously a ton of downsides. Like Akari says, 15 and above, people are risk averse, and that'll be a little bit difficult. But it's the quickest and easiest way to settle. The only... you might have a problem with levers, but then you can do the same thing as Solo Shuffle and go, right, well, we punish levers. People who leave get punished. They get, they're not allowed to queue up for again, etc., etc., etc. Something like that. You can handle key selection through either your own key or random key, and people will just queue for it and go for it and go, oh, I got this today, sweet, whatever. Maybe even split it into groups or something like that for handy. Or even you go, okay, right, then why... trying to think of a decent example. Yeah, so every 5 you do, you get one where you get to pick a key. Every 10 you do, you get to when you pick a key and the level. Something like that to kind of incentivize it a little bit further. And yeah, Akari has a good point again, saying the bigger problem is, why would tanks, healers use this? 2 reasons. Number 1, it's the only way to in a future world. Or 2, heavy incentives. And I think that would just be... Imagine if this were a world where you could have, say, uncapped Valor. Then you could offer bonus Valor.
Oh,
you could say, tanks and healers get double Valor for using this. Off you go. And then tanks and healers got to go, yeah, I'll do that. Now, people may not do it for pushing or like super heavy keys, but I think that's fine. I think selection in that case makes sense. Like, you would then go, okay, well, then get... Or yeah, even exactly that, Dakor, where it's like, tanks and healers always get... Not even like the call to arms, but just always tanks and healers get armor, and it's done. People do it. People do it for incentives. So I think that would sort that out more or less perfectly. Especially if you start to... if you start to think of, I guess... Like, what other problems are there? People will just do premiums for the super high keys. People won't do premiums for low keys. Incentivize enough, people do it. Bonus Valor. Do you want to have a little spanner in the works of not being able to select your key, but you get a load of bonus Valor? People do that. People run 2s for Valor if they feel a little bit there just to get it up. Just to get a little bit of that Valor in there. And if you want to keep, like, level selection might be the hardest part of there. I don't know. It seems like it'd be a great way to get started doing keys. How do you prevent or reduce the key lever issue? If you leave a key, you get sent straight to hell. You get sent straight to hell. I mean, in-game hell. You just get, 30 minutes, not allowed. Not allowed to sign up for group. You're banned from the pre-made group finder. The kind of, sorry, you don't get to play. You get to do world quest for 30 minutes or go make dinner. That's it. Those are your options. I think that might work. Because the issue is, Vlad is the point of it saying low eye level people get boosted and the Valor caps removed and everyone does bonus Valor runs in M2 to M6. That's because the current Valor system isn't balanced around uncapped Valor. They would need to increase Valor for key level. And you could even do that in, you could even do that in, like, the system in the design. Because this isn't slap it on, done. This is how do we redesign this system to make more sense in that context? How do we redesign everything? How do we build a system from scratch that will work instead of operating under the problems we currently have that we can't really get rid of? I think so. Yeah, I don't really know there's too much more to say about that, to be honest. I think it's because the examples we have here, just the wall of frustration, it's the problem. I'll go through a couple of what Dakor had written down here, because that might make sense. How could solo queue solve the wall of frustration of low people not being able to do keys or people being a little bit wrong? Queue up and join groups of similar M+ score as you at a key level fitting. And there you go. It's like, oh yeah, your rating depicts or is what you're based on. You get put into almost in the same way you get skill-based matchmaking. Say you're 1490, whatever, 1498. You get put into people who are 1400 to 1600, and you are in there with them doing something that will get you the right bonus. Maybe it'll be like a little bit dodgy, but even though you go then okay, it's a 13 whatever, it's a 1450 whatever. There's a little bit of like smartness of, hey, we'll throw on a little bit of sometimes this is good for you, sometimes it's not perfect for you, but it's like the longer you wait, the more the what are called spreads. The range is willing to do spreads, and then you end up with, actually working overall. Leaving could also tank your M+ score. Tank your social score. Social score.
Social credit score. There is a bit of a like don't be a dickhead number that you could see a degree of value in.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, that would be interesting. And yeah, that's another thing where Decker points out should be in the maybe 2 to 15 keystone level range. I would say maybe 2 to 20, just because that's where the game is going, and it should be almost in the same way you can pre-made heroic, but not, cross-run mythic. In that sense, where it's clearly this is acceptable for this kind of gameplay, but not really the done thing for this kind of gameplay, and just make it codified that way. But you also want to go up to 20 for gear reasons, and then people could just queue for 20. Queue for 20. Is it going to be hard? Yes. Are you going to be in there with people who have not been carried because they can't be carried in this system? Especially if you give people like a split score. Here's your pre-made score, here's your solo queue score, which is the same way you can do in like say League does it for the 5v5s versus the like ranked solo versus ranked pre-made. There you go. That might be a bit annoying, a bit awkward, but you could almost certainly do that. That'd be fine. How do you fix the problem of people who won't join a guild, use voice chat, learn their class, or watch a video queuing for high queues? Way more toxic than people leaving keys because they don't want their... Well, I don't know what else. Going to finish up. That's a challenge. That's a culture issue. You can't really solve that problem. You just have to make... You have to make the game not for them or give them other things to do so they don't go into M+, I think. Fundamentally. Instead of solo queue, what about a solo dungeon? Different experience. Different experience, different sort of gameplay. I would love to see some of those, but that's kind of there. Put how many times they left on their player tag permanently and let people choose whether to kick them from their crewed group before you get in, effectively increasing their queue for being rude. Social credit score.
I know the idea of that will spook people, but
this
this isn't IRL. This is in a video game.
Yeah, I
It's
guess.
in the same way, like, so many MOBAs have the naughty queue, where it's like if you're a total dickhead, you'll go in the junk queue for a while, and you will be playing with other junk players.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like, that'll definitely hurt your, well, hurt you in some ways, but you may benefit in other ways, and if that means more people feel like they can just go play your game.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can definitely see the positives, but also like DPS queues. Thinking about solo shuffle, of course, where in solo shuffle the struggle is incentivizing healers to join up.
Yeah, that's a struggle.
How would you deal with group comp? Things like blood loss, battle res, interrupts, dispels, etc. Is it the case where it's only random? It only goes up to +10, or it's capped in some way. Hard to say.
Oh, you wouldn't do that. That'd be fucking pointless.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, it is harder in the way that the Mythic Plus system works. So, I mean, we got a happy Gingy. We've got a less happy Tattles.
Yep.
We've got a happy Nawa. Yep. Happy Dorky. Cyber.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Just queue up and slam.
Cyber.
Just queue up and slam. That's
Two
it.
Slam go.
That would be fantastic. That would
suppose
make
it's
my
like
life way easier.
So many of those what ifs. Is it one of those things, if you do not have a if you do not have a bloodlust, Blizzard could give you one somehow.
Make drums better.
They could make drums better.
Not ideal, but better.
Yeah, or maybe
Why is it 15%? Like, make it 25.
Or maybe there's a 15% that you can just get from a vendor in the dungeon or something as a little, prep staging area. Who exactly knows, but there could be a way for Blizzard to cap the downsides, still make class identity matter, but then give people the approachability, angle of the game. So it's an interesting discussion.
Yeah, I think I'd love to think about it more and love to see it added.